Everyone, and welcome to this Stage 20 betting preview for the Tour de France, brought to you by goodforthegame.co.za. Well, Stage 19 is a thing of the past. We've only got 2 stages now until we head into Paris. Let's have a look at what happened yesterday before we get on to Stage 20. It was a good stage for me. I needed one of these. I can tell you it's been a real battle in this tour, but Søren Kragh Andersen winning and delivering at 50-1. Full credit here to Will Newton on Twitter at Inside Peloton, who actually called this. It was a last-minute inclusion for me. I was looking for someone who could win with a late break. I'd already had Alberto Bettiol in the staking plan, and I was looking for someone, and I read his preview, and he called it that way, and this was his pick. So I went for him at 50-1. It certainly was a great win for me on a great day because I hit all my multiples. The big multiple, Bennett over Ewan came in, and I also hit a 4-1 treble, which I posted on the Good for the Game forum. My only mistake was in play. I did think the stage would go a bit differently. And let's have a quick look at stage 19 now. I did think that Bora would push very hard up this Cat 4 climb and continue pushing to the sprint and would drop Bennett. But I think what often happens is, us as non-cyclists or certainly non-professional cyclists, we tend to think these guys are invincible. And, for Bora to have burnt themselves for that sort of distance, having already worked hard early in the stage to keep the sort of a one-man break under control, it really was asking a lot. They lost a rider early in the stage. Who knows, maybe Sagan said, my legs aren't that great. Whatever it was, it never happened. They actually started quite slowly after that. And I was getting a little bit worried about my match bets and also worried Ewan might stay in the race. But after the sprint, fortunately, things really opened up. And this was a really tricky end. It was mainly downhill to the end, but there were plenty of little rises and bends. And all I can say is thank goodness they didn't come in a bunch sprint, because that road down to the finish, man, we would have seen a GC guy or 2 crash out of there. It was absolutely chaos. And if you had the GC guys trying to keep their men at the front while the sprinters were trying to keep their men on such a narrow road, would have been chaos. So I think we just as well the break went. It was a good break for me. And let's just talk about the move that got Søren Kragh Andersen the win. Trentin, to his credit, had gone and tried to break away on one of the steep rises. Sagan followed his wheel, and we'll chat about that in just a second. And then, of course, Bennett was on Sagan, and Sagan managed to close the gap to Trentin. And as everyone got together, everything slowed down. And it was just like on his first stage win, when he took advantage from a timing perspective. And Søren Kragh absolutely burst out the bunch, and he attacked with meaning. And you could see everyone look at each other, and by the time they finally realized, sure, but we better go after this guy, he was gone. Now, it's easy to criticize people and say you should have ridden hard. Once again, I think Mitchelton and Scott are probably the ones who should get criticized the most, because they had two riders in there as well. And once again, didn't work hard enough. But and their man ended up coming second once again as well. So, yeah, a bit disappointing there from their point of view. I mean, Trentin, there's no way he was going to chase. I think the mistake on this stage a little bit here at this point was made by Peter Sagan. I don't think he should have chased Trentin. Trentin, at the end of the day, he could have gone past Sagan in the green jersey race, yes, but ultimately, if Sagan wanted to win the green jersey, he had to play Bennett, and he should have sat and said to Bennett, you want Trentin, you go and fetch him, and sat on his wheel, and then potentially he could have counterattacked. There was never a chance of Bennett counterattacking because, quite frankly, Bennett wasn't worried about winning the race. He was just worried about marking his green jersey contenders. And, of course, he had a teammate in the break, and there was no way he was going to chase it down. So it was a perfect storm for Søren Kragh. Absolutely a great win. And in the end, a very enjoyable last sort of 40 kilometers of the stage, which up to then, I must admit, I thought had been a little bit disappointing. Let's just have a quick look at the classifications. We got Carapaz. I want to have a look at the King of the Mountains. We've got Carapaz on 74, Pogacar on 72. Rogic, I don't think he's a factor on 67. There's a climb at the end of the time trial today. I think it's 10, 8, 6, 4, 2 or something along those in terms of points. Carapaz essentially just has to beat Pogacar to the top. Now, the advantage he'll have, as you see when we look at the profile, is that he doesn't have to ride the first 30 kilometers hard. Rogic has got this race virtually wrapped up. It would take an incredible performance by Pogacar, more likely a very unlikely breakdown by Rogic to lose it. And the battle for the podium, Lopez is well in position there. I think Tom Dumoulin can certainly cause some problems for those above him, but we'll have a look at the time trial. Now, quick look at the betting. Obviously, outright, not much to see there. 1-20, Primož Roglic. Podium finish, there might be some interest. Richie Porte, you can get 5-2 that he podiums. I think it's very unlikely. I think Lopez is an improved time trialist and will hold him off. King of the Mountains, 5-10 Carapaz. Not a bad price. I see the van on the Good for the Game forum posted that bet a couple of days ago. And the reason being, quite simply, and I'll post scrolling below. You can see that there is a link down to the Good for the Game forum below this the video. Carapaz 5-10. You've got to think that Pogacar is only competitor here. Obviously, Roger could go ahead of him if he wins the climb, but Carapaz would then just have to score some points. Now, the thing for Carapaz is he doesn't have to ride the start of this climb hard. He can pretty much just stay within, make sure he's within the time limit, and that which shouldn't be a problem on this stage. But he can hit the climb with a lot of energy, and yeah, he could even maybe ride it the whole race on his climbing bike, because it is going to be a bike change for most of the guys at the bottom of the climb, and that will take some time. But obviously, they'll get the advantage of moving onto a climbing bike. He could actually ride on his climbing bike and hit it, so he doesn't have to stop and get onto it and hit this climb with some momentum. So Carapaz should pick up the jersey. And in fact, 5-10 is not a bad price at all. Pogacar, bear in mind, will be more focused on trying to catch Pogacar, but also keeping away Lopez if Lopez is on a good day. Here's the route for the time trial, and I'm not going to spend as much time analyzing the actual stage itself as what we're talking about, stage 19. You've got 30 kilometers or 10 kilometers of flat, and then you've got a gradual increase, which will sap the legs. And if you're not on a good day, you'll start battling at this point. And then you come down to the final climb, which doesn't look that bad on this profile, but take a look at that, 5.9 kilometers at 8.5%. That is a serious climb. And if you are on a bad day, you can lose a lot of time there. It really is steep in places. And in fact, let's have a quick look. It should just be the one hill, hopefully, that's here. Here we go. As you can see, my Wi-Fi connection is great. It hasn't actually brought the whole thing up. Anyway, you get the idea. There's the steep inclines and a steep finish here, a bit of 20% towards the end as well. Let's have a look at the stage betting then, and I'm on World Sports Betting's website here. Primoz Roglic 15-10, Van Aert and Dumoulin next best in the betting. So we actually got an all Jumbo-Visma podium here. Wout van Aert, gee whiz. I mean, this guy's had an incredible tour. He's worked hard in the mountains. He's won sprint finishes. I mean, what else can the guy do? Well, I can tell you he can time trial really well. There was some question about whether he would go for it today, but all indications are that he's going to give it full gas. I actually thought he might hold back a bit while he tries to win on the Champs-Élysées tomorrow, which I wouldn't be surprised if he does. I'm just happy for my Trentine green jersey podium bet that he's out of reach of Wout van Aert. Because if Van Aert wins the last two stages, he fortunately can't catch him and knock him off the podium. But anyway, you got those three. Then you got Pogacar 13-2. I do think Pogacar has been shown some signs of tiredness in the last week of this Grand Tour. He's been excellent. He's given me a full run for my money. I think it was 13 or 14-1 I backed him at. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he can beat certainly Primoz Roglic. Kwiatkowski, I like him. But the problem with time trials is you've got a strong favorite here now. And Kwiatkowski, I like him for a good run today. But do I think he's going to beat all three of those Jumbo-Visma guys? No. So I'm not going to take the 16-1. Will I take the 5-2 at podium? I think you might be able to get 3-1 even. No, I don't. I don't. He can have a really good run and finish fourth. And so the only way to really look at this, if unless you fancy someone from down below, is to look at the match plays. And for me, this time trial cannot be won. Let me say this: I don't think it can be won by anyone outside of the top four in the betting. I'll go that far, or even potentially the top three. This is not the sort of course, I don't believe, where we're going to get a surprise. Okay, I won't go back to that one. Seen that I changed picture there, but I don't believe. So my pick, and I will go through my bets now, is going to be. In fact, let's just pop to the match betting quickly, and before I'll take you through my bets. Here's WSB. They've got the match betting out here. And I've worked out a match bet treble here. Also, just a couple that stand out for me. Kasper Asgreen at 7-10. He's been relatively quiet. He's racing against his teammate here, effectively, who went on a long time trial yesterday for green jersey purposes for Bennett. I've got to think that might have sapped Cavagna, and I think Asgreen here could be a good bet at 7-10. I also like Soler over Camera a little bit at 7s. And the other one I like is Daniel Martinez. These EF guys can time trial. I fancy him to take Bilbao there at 4-6, but you'll see he comes into my treble in just a few seconds. Let's actually have a look then at my betting, and let me just navigate around here. First of all, just to mention, you'll see this plays a role in my bet now. World Sports Betting special. Any rider to win the Tour de France, if he doesn't win, becomes second, you'll get your stake back as a free bet. So let's have a look at my bets now. I'm going 2 units, Roglic to win at 15-10 at WSB. I've looked at this. Can Roglic get beaten today? Of course he can. It is possible that Podge can beat him. But I think he'd be more likely beaten by one of his own teammates, Wout van Aert or Tom Dumoulin, who I didn't speak about much, but certainly this time trial will suit him down to the ground. Just my question mark over Dumoulin as to whether he's got quite the condition at the moment. And as far as Wout van Aert goes, can the guy honestly continue working that hard? I've got to think that despite the fact that he's leading the race, Rogic has got to be the fresher. So I'm going 2 units on Rogic to win at 15-10. I think it's a good price, and I'm taking it with the special. So in other words, if he does run second, I email them and I say, look, guys, he was second, and they'll give me my stake back as free bet. So that's quite important on this one, and it's one of the swinging factors. Then I'm going for quite a biggish bet by my standards on the Tour de France. I love this treble. 2 units, Kwiatkowski over Alaphilippe. It's about 4-10. Martinez, he's around 7-10 or 4-6 against Bilbao. And Asgreen against Cavagna. That's at 29-10 at WSB. I'm having a bit of a go at that one. And then a bit more of a speculative play. I'm going for yesterday's winner. He owes me absolutely nothing. Soren Kragh Andersen over Tommy de Gent. He's 16-10. I see there was 2-1 when it opened up. I was very impressed with Anderson. He's obviously fresh, got good legs. De Gent's also been showing some decent legs of late, but he's just such a hot and cold rider when it comes to time trials. And just a bit of a price play and more almost to say to Anderson, thanks for yesterday. Let's see if you can deliver me some more. But anyway, that's it for stage 20. It should be an interesting stage. Time trials to me, not quite as exciting to watch as some of the other stages, and particularly here where we've got quite big gaps between most of the contenders. So we are unlikely to get a lot of positional changes, but enjoy it. I must say, be posting other match bets, because that's in time trials I focus on match bets. I will be posting other match bets on the Good for the Game forum, so you can click on the link below to access that forum thread and see what I and other punters place. Anyway, that's it, everyone. We're nearing the end of this Tour de France marathon. Stage 21 tomorrow. We'll sprint on the Champs-Elysees. Who will my pick be? Well, I'll share that in tomorrow's preview.